Wow. It's been a while. It's been a while. Last time I was here, I had hair on my head, and then I went low cut. Good evening, everyone. Happy second half of the year. It's been an eventful year, and I just want to talk about something. It's been an interesting year, and one of the things I did or I started doing in January, almost 6 months ago. I have the exact date on the 10th of January. I actually started, for those who don't know me that personally, I actually have a bike, a motorcycle, and so I started using that to work. I started using that to do okada work, as they call it in Nigeria. And for those who might not be aware, um, it's a let's just call it like a motorcycle taxi business, kind of. So instead of using cars as taxis, you use your motorcycle to carry passengers and all of that. And um, that's what that's one of the things I've been doing. Sorry about that. That's one of the things I've been doing majorly. One of the major things I've been doing for the past 6 months, and it's been an interesting ride. And maybe one day I would tell the story of why and how I started doing that. But for now, I just want to share some things I've learned so far from that experience, because it's been an interesting experience. And I think the first thing um, I would say is, people don't. The first lesson is, people don't really care about um, what you do as much as you think. I think I'll start with that. And the reason I'm saying that is, obviously, um, being an Okada man, or riding motorcycles commercially, is something that is reserved for, most times, for like people in the really really lower class of society and all of that. In fact, I think that many Nigerians even think of bus drivers, more highly than Okada riders, because having a bus or getting a car is more expensive than getting a bike. I think so. I think, yeah, I know it is. So I think that's one reason why many people would even think of maybe bus driving or Uber driving as better than being an Okada rider. And so starting for me was, man, it was quite difficult. But I just had to. And after a while, I I think in the first few days, one of the things I found out was, because I live in an area where many people have known me growing up, so many of them know that I'm a graduate. Many of them know that I come from a family where my dad has several properties in the area and is well known and all of that. And so there was that. Would I say that? It's not fear. That shame. Let me just call it what it is in my mind, of like, wow, am I really going to do this? How am I going to handle this? And I remember the very first day I started very early in the morning, like something like, before it was dawn, maybe like past 5, like very extremely early. I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And when people saw me, many people were surprised. Many people didn't know. They were not sure. Like, okay, are you doing this? Are you just riding your bike around as we usually see you do, or are you doing this to carry passengers and all of that? And I just found out that with time, in fact, many of the people at the park where I work were even supportive. Find out, I just come in. If there's a place a passenger wants to go to and I don't know, I ask them, where is this person going to? They'll tell me. Some of them might even maybe call a passenger, and then they see that I'm still there. So yeah, carry this person, take this person, and So I think that was quite a surprise for me. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting more of people telling me, why would you do such a thing like this? or hearing discouraging words, but I didn't get too much of that. And then that leads me to the second point, that the people who would often say that people who would often discourage you from doing something like this are people whose opinions don't matter many times. Because I had a few people who told me like, why are you riding bike? This and that. I remember there was somebody in particular that he told me, and I believe he didn't mean this like in a negative way. I believe he didn't have a bad intention, but he was like, why would you be riding bike now? This thing would just lead to people not respecting you, this and that. I didn't even answer him. I didn't explain anything to him and all. But the funny thing is, this person, what he does is he's a dry cleaner. So the question I was asking myself, I was like, you wash people's clothes for a living, you understand that, right? Okay, you might package it as dry cleaner in quotes, so it seems more too short, more packaged. Just like an Uber driver and a taxi driver, you're just basically doing the same thing, it's just more packaged. So I just told myself, look, this is somebody who is washing people's clothes for a living, and someone might bring a very dirty clothes, or some people might even put underwears amongst what they want you to wash, and you wash it for them to get paid. So I don't think there's any shame in having to carry people on my bike to wherever they want to go. And then the second part of that is that the people who actually matter don't care so much about what you do. And for me, the people who matter, my family, my wife, my daughter, my mom, my in-laws. My daughter doesn't even care. All she knows is she wants to eat, she needs clothes, she needs certain things, and you have to get it for her. However the money comes is none of her business. My wife has not one day complained to me that this money, there's something my church I used to attend growing up, my pastor used to say, I cannot remember exactly how he puts it, but he would say, shit money does not look different from money that you make from working in a bank. So money, at the end of the day, money is money. At the end of the day, 1,000 naira you make from working in an office is not different from how 1,000 naira will look if you're working like as an okada man, for example. So the people who really matter to me, they don't care about any of those things, as long as I'm able to provide for them and I'm doing something that is safe and I'm doing something that is legal, just fire on. And I think another lesson I've learned is also how things add up. I think two lessons in one is how things add up, and then also how there are certain things you think are not as profitable, but you go in and then you're surprised. I remember when I first started this business, I actually just thought, okay, I just need maybe just something very little. I remember when I started, there was one of, I'll call it my colleagues, who was just sharing with me how he makes, how much did he even say that this year? Maybe like 12,000 naira a day, like after fuel and other expenses. And I was like, are you serious? So 12,000 naira a day, let's imagine you're working like 30 days. Okay, that's like 360,000. Okay, let's say you're not working Sundays, you're not working weekends. That's still almost like 300,000 naira. How many office jobs, especially around where I stay, will pay you that much? So just going in there and being able to see like, wow, are you serious? And then it opened my eyes to start, because I started interacting with other people in transport business. I believe that this also happens in other areas of life. When I started interacting with other people in transport business, I remember having a discussion with a particular bike man who he runs express. So I run within the community, and he does the highway. He runs his own okada on the highway, and he was telling me how he makes sometimes 20 to 25,000 naira a day. I was like, what is this? So that's like 500,000 or more monthly. Crazy numbers. And just hearing him say that he makes that much, and interacting with other people, I've had the opportunity to speak with a friend who does like bus riding, bus driving, and just hearing them say how much. Are you like, are you telling me that these people are making this amount of money? Crazy. I think that now leads me to also the next lesson I've learned, because I started asking myself, like, okay, if there's this amount of money in this business, like, what's up with these people? Like, you don't see too many, because if you're making, let's say, 500k every month, in a year, that's about 6 million naira just for one person. Let's just imagine that you don't have a spouse who's working, which almost everybody in Nigeria nowadays does. But let's just say it's one person's income in a family, 6 million naira in a year. And I just asking myself, like, okay, if this amount of money is coming in, why does it seem like many of the drivers I know and bike men I know are not doing better with their lives, and their families and all of that? And it didn't take me long to figure out the answer to that. Because after a few weeks, and I started getting a hang of the business and bringing in some income. After a while, when I sit down to calculate, how much I made in a week, and then I sit down to look at what's left in my hand, I'm like, what's happening? Where did all the money go? I thought I made this and this. So I started realizing that I think, from my observation, that it's easier to plan finances and be disciplined and all of that when you earn a salary, like at the end of the month, the money is coming in at once, and you do something significant with it, than having to earn in bits and pieces, right? So, like, I was saying, one of the lessons I learned is that things add up. So you might carry somebody 200 naira, 100 naira, 200 naira, 100 naira, 300 naira, and before you know it, that those little drops just add up into something significant. That was the point I mentioned before. But coming back to what I was saying, having your income not coming at once and coming in bits and pieces like that can be quite it can be a trap in a way, because it can make you unable to do something reasonable with the money, because as it's coming in, there's a tendency for you, I made 10k today, I made 8k today, I made this. You just spend it, and before you know, the whole money is gone. And it seems like all of the problems you have to deal with require lump sums, right? So for instance, let's just say, okay, you want to buy land, and let's say around where I stay, you can still see land, maybe a half plot like 1 million, 1.5 million, maybe a full plot like 2-3 million, stuff like that. And I go, I want to get a piece of land. You're making 8k a day, 10k a day, and you're thinking of something of like 2 million. It becomes difficult to be able to gather it, and money is not anybody's friend. As you're trying to gather, sometimes things happen and the money leaves to another place, and sometimes you're just not disciplined. So I think one of the things I had to learn, and I'm still learning, I'm still putting structures in place, is, okay, how do I find ways to gather this money, plan for it well, and just make sure that it doesn't get lost like that. Because for the first few months I was like, where is so that's one thing I learned. And I don't think I'm the only one that's figured it out, because in the park where I work, there is a contribution initiative that they do, like we call it Ajo. They do a contribution. So I think amongst the park members, I don't do it with them, but amongst the park members, there's someone who coordinates the contribution. So every day, so let's say, like, at the beginning of the month, they decide maybe 3,000 naira, 4,000 naira daily. Everybody's going to contribute, and everyone has a day where they pack. They call it the pack, where they take. So everybody contributes. So let's say they agree is 3,000 naira amongst 30 people, because there are 30 days in the month, for instance. But usually 25 people, because they don't usually collect on Sunday. So let's just say 30 people. So every day everybody drops 3,000 naira. So, and then at the beginning of the month, everyone picks a number randomly. So when it's your day, the person that's collected on the first will collect not 90,000, because the person organizing the contribution will also be paid. So let's say the person that's collected on the first will collect 90,000. 30 people will pay him. He will collect like that. Second person too, and so on and so forth. And that's one way that I saw that they were able to. And so that was something I learned from too. I was like, okay, so I think if they're doing this, they know the difficult. So it's like a salary. It's like I'm getting paid my salary on this particular day. And that helps to do something meaningful with the money. So these are just some few lessons I've learned from doing that. At the end of the day, man, it's been an interesting process for me, a humbling process, I must say, because I've always believed in working hard. I've always believed in doing things legitimately. If you watch my YouTube channel, you know how much I hate anything that has to do with Yahoo and fraud and all of that. And it's something that I've advised over time, and advised so many young people around me and all of that. And it's interesting sometimes having to see yourself be put in situations where you now have to practice what you preach. You've been saying this. Okay, do you really believe it? Do you really believe that you should not be ashamed if you need to make money? Do you really believe that so long as you're not stealing somebody's money, and so long as you're not stealing somebody's money, you should do whatever you can to make a living for yourself without being ashamed and all of that? And when I was confronted with all of those questions, I've been able to so far answer and go through with it. And I think the final thing I'm learning, I don't think I've learned this lesson yet, is to just enjoy the process and go through it. I think for the first few months it was all like target, and my head was just I had some financial deadlines to meet up and this and that, and I was just thinking front. And over time I've just learned to calm down a bit. And before I was giving myself a deadline, I'm just going to do this for some amount of weeks, and then I'm going to stop, and this is. But right now, really, I don't know when I'm going to stop. If I'll be honest with you, I hope I can stop doing it soon, like really, really very soon. But then also, let's just see. That's just it. Just enjoying life and just taking it one step at a time. And I'm just so grateful. And I'm just so grateful that I'm able to provide for my family. I'm able to, meet my basic needs. I'm able to do certain things. I'm grateful that I have a bike that I can use to work, because many people don't even have that. So that's something I'm really grateful for, that I can be an okada man. Something I'm grateful for, because imagine I didn't have this opportunity. Imagine I didn't have this. I bought this bike like 4 years ago, and I've just been using it for my personal needs. Go to church, go to the market, just move around, take my wife out and stuff like that. Not knowing that one day the bike will be useful to me as a means to make ends meet. And so that's just something I'm really grateful for. I think that's one thing I also learned from this, is just to be more grateful. So if you're I don't know who might watch this. This is a very long video. I don't know who might watch this. I don't know what you might be going through. I don't know what situation you might be in right now. I don't know when you watch this. You, like me, you may be a graduate. I've been a graduate for 2016 for 9 years. And here I am being an okada man. And so you might be in a situation like me, and maybe you're feeling discouraged, and maybe you are confused, or you want to give up, or just whatever it is you're going through. Just want to let you know that you're not alone. Things are going to get better eventually. So just be grateful for where you are, grateful for the things you can do right now, grateful for the needs you can meet, for the little that's there. Even as we keep dreaming, I'm still dreaming big, I'm still thinking big, I'm still taking steps. But for now, I'm enjoying the process. So yeah, that's it. So another thing is I'm back on YouTube now. I think I've been postponing this video for a very long time. I've been saying I'm going to make this video. I've been procrastinating, and I'm back in the groove. So I was supposed to drop this video on the 10th, which was the 6-month anniversary of being an Okada man. But I just did it now. So this video is going to be very rough. I'm not going to do any editing or anything. I'm not going to do anything that will delay me. I'm going to upload it as raw as possible, and I hope someone can be encouraged by it. Take care. See you in the next one.